How do you get ready for a disaster? My name is Michelle Morris, and I'm the lead pastor here at First United Methodist Church in Bentonville, and I'm standing in our sanctuary, which thankfully, when the tornadoes blew through last May, had no damage. We did have damage on our property. We lost a number of trees, but the sanctuary itself stayed intact. It could have been different. How do we get ready for a disaster that is undoubtedly going to come? John the Baptist is preaching in the wilderness, warning people to get ready for a new way that the world is going to be. And in that case, it's not a disaster. It's a chance to follow Jesus Christ. But getting to the point where we would recognize who Christ is, certainly a struggle. John the Baptist is preparing people, and Jesus will spend all of his time with the disciples getting them ready for what is to come, including the disaster that will be Holy Week, and what I would say is humanity's greatest disaster, the cross. But on the other side of the cross is its full mitigation, which is the resurrection. That's the journey we will be on this Lenten season together, is how do we get ready for and make it through disasters in our lives, whether they're tornadoes or struggles that we have in our own lives, or that preparation that is involved in living a life of faith. We're going to frame this series up by using the disaster pattern that FEMA and UMCOR and all kinds of groups that do disaster recovery look at. We're going to look first at mitigation. Mitigation, which is taking the steps that we need to take in advance so that either disasters never happen, or when disasters do happen, the damage is minimal or nil. Then we're going to talk about what it means to prepare. In the week in which we look at preparation, we're going to talk about taking the time to build the skills that will help us get through a disaster. Some of those skills are concrete things like learning how to operate a chainsaw, and some of them are the skills of faith that Jesus is trying to nurture in us as people who follow him. Then we're going to look at the immediate reality of going through a disaster and how we respond, how we as the people of faith reach out in love and care and service in the midst of a time of crisis. And then we're going to acknowledge that the recovery on the other side of a disaster may take a very long time. And we have to pay attention. We have to stay on that journey with people. Now, you're going to see a number of people talk about this journey, and they're going to be kind of chopped up because as they narrated it to us, they of course started with the moment of the tornado in most cases and then worked their way on through. And we're going to go in a little bit different order. So to prepare you for understanding their stories, I want to give you a little bit of background on the people that you will hear from. First, you're going to hear from Roy and Shelley Lee. They do disaster recovery for our conference here in Arkansas, and they're going to talk a lot about the work that they do to prepare and then the work they do to help with response and recovery all the way through. And they're going to make a passionate plea for why we need to mitigate against future disasters. We're going to hear from one of my colleagues, the Reverend James Churlog, who's the pastor at First United Methodist Church in downtown Rogers. They also had a tornado the same day that we did, only their sanctuary was not so lucky. But he's going to be able to share with you how his people came together to repair not just the building in which they gather and worship, but also how they came together to help one another in a time of trial. We're going to hear from Barry and Cindy Mooring. Barry is the county judge, and I had no idea that it is the county judge who actually helps disperse emergency response for a county. He's going to share the intensity of that journey when the tornado came through and what it meant as a public servant. At the same time that his wife Cindy is going to very much share their personal side of the story and talk about, in the midst of the work that Barry was doing for the region, they were having to deal with some recovery in their own property, but also to very much walk alongside Cindy's sister, Connie Anderson, whose house did take terrible damage. And Brad and Connie Anderson are part of this video as well, and they will share what it meant to go through and lose so much of their home, alongside Adam and Rebecca Kingery, who will also share their journey when they had to remodel thanks to a disaster, remodel a home they never meant to remodel. They're powerful stories of loss and mourning and struggle and resilience. And we'll see through those stories how, as the people of faith, walking alongside one another through everything that we go through, we all get to experience resurrection. We're so grateful to have you walking on this journey with us. It's certainly my hope that you never have a disaster in your life, but the reality is probably you will. So we hope this study will be a companion for you and will strengthen you and give you hope. And even if you yourself don't go through a disaster, perhaps it will help you to be alongside someone else who is. May this season be a blessing for you, and we are grateful to be alongside you for it. We look forward to the journey together.
Rise up again, 'cause it ain't